Okay, so it's now lunchtime at the Your Party founding conference, day one. So we've had the first debates and we've discussed the political statement. That was one of them. We had Jeremy Corbyn speaking. We had a councillor from Liverpool. It wasn't as dramatic as I anticipated. There was someone who came up to ask to do the standing orders, but they weren't accepted. They had to go somewhere else. But anyway, we've got lots of people to talk about it, but the first person we're going to have to talk to is Craig Murray. He's come up here. He's everywhere. I saw him in the Strand with a whole group of people around him, and I managed to get him. And he went back to the Strand the next day on the Thursday. So what's your feeling about the case that was put forward by Palestine Action, and also what was the government's effectively, what were they saying in response?
Well, Palestine Action have a very strong case, particularly based on European law and the European Convention on Human Rights. And it was interesting, but what we saw on the Thursday was the government putting its case in opposition, particularly James Eadie, KC, for the government. And really, he was rather stumbling. He didn't sound confident or in control in the way he normally does. So the government case is pretty weak, but then that's why they packed the bench. You know, that's why they have judges who are very much supportive of what the government's done. One thing, let me give you an example of that. When Raza Hussain, the KC for Huda Amari, was speaking, he would refer to a case and say, let me take you to that, that's page 824 in your bundle, paragraph 4. And every single time he did that, the judges said, oh yes, we know that, or we're familiar with that, or we don't need to look at that. Every single time. And it happened a dozen times in his presentation. Every time Sir James Eadie for the government said, and this refers to case blah, 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 page 522, paragraph 6, the judges would go completely silent and sit there and read what he told them to read, sometimes for up to 2 minutes, as though he were their boss and they were he was instructing them, if you see what I mean. It really, the difference in the deference shown by the judges to the government's lawyer as opposed to the opposition lawyer was absolutely, you had to be there to feel that, if you see what I mean. That's a great advantage of getting to these trials. You learn so much of what's happening behind the scenes from their behaviour, their body language, which you wouldn't get from reading a transcript, or certainly not from reading a final judgment.
Yeah. And what did you think of, you thought that, what about the first day, when I saw you outside, you said on camera to me that there's a good chance because of the European Court of Human Rights, and then you sent me a message a bit later saying that what you'd said to me on camera might not have been quite what you were thinking. Can you tell everyone what that was about?
Now, I've been busted. I was lying to you and to your viewers, because I was attempting to stop the police from arresting these two elderly people in wheelchairs. And part of the way I was attempting to stop them was by saying to the police, there is a case happening here. In 2 days' time, it may be found that the law under which you are acting is an unlawful law. You may be making an unlawful arrest. You should not do this. You should not arrest those people. So I couldn't actually undercut that by saying, but we're going to lose a case anyway, because that would not have worked in that particular
So I'm getting the feeling that you don't think there's a great chance that the Palestine Action will be deprescribed next Tuesday. Well, next Tuesday is the final hearing, and then after that they make a decision.
No, it's a Zionist court. I put it simply as that. It's a court packed by Zionists. We have Judge Swift there, who used to act for the security services. And in the Graham Phillips case of a journalist who suffered sanctions after reporting from Ukraine, that was a case between Graham Phillips and the Foreign Office. And Judge Swift had to recuse himself because he was caught out having secret meetings with the Foreign Office about the case without telling the defence, which is, and he should have been sacked for that. I would say he should have been jailed for that. And he's one of the three on the panel. The whole thing is completely stiff. I think eventually the case will be won probably at the European Convention of Human Rights one day. And I think we may win it in Scotland once we get the Scottish case going. It'd be very hard to find hardline Zionist judges in Scotland. But
you haven't even found out when that's starting?
No, at the moment they're dealing with that by delay. They're simply refusing to give a hearing date. They've accepted the case. The case exists, it's on the court rolls, it's been accepted as competent. The government has replied to it in writing with all their arguments, but the court just isn't setting a date. It's a hot potato they don't want to deal with, so they're just putting it off as long as they possibly can.
Right, and on Friday, so you'd done the London 2 days at the Royal Courts of Justice, and you thought, what I could do with now is a little break in Jersey. That sounds quite nice, doesn't it? But you actually went to another court then. What was happening there?
Yeah, no, I literally ran from the Royal Court of Justice to City Thameslink tube station, train station, got a train to Gatwick and flew to Jersey to be the next morning in Jersey for Natalie Strecker's terrorism case there, which is a most terrible case. I feel so sorry for Natalie, and Jersey is such an awful place. It's kind of feudally controlled and run by the financial services industry, and has a police force whose main task is not to spot money laundering. And Natalie's facing the most terrible prosecution, and a prosecution which is being run by senior lawyers from Whitehall, interestingly enough. But the things she's accused of, I should say, I have personally written or spoken at least 500 things stronger than anything that she is being prosecuted for having written. I don't know anybody who hasn't written stronger things than that. If that is the bar for prosecution, one of the things she's accused of saying is that the 7th of October was a prison break, and that is charged as supportive of Hamas. Wow. She's charged the KC for the government stated in court that the word resistance is synonymous with Hamas and Hezbollah. So if you say I support Palestinian resistance, that must mean I support Hamas and Hezbollah, and that is a jailable offence. So this is really dangerous. And the reason they're doing it in Jersey is that there's no jury. She doesn't have a jury. If you were charged with supporting Hamas and Hezbollah in the way that's not the placard holding. Right. This is the active support offence, up to 14 years in jail. So you would get a jury if you were charged under that on the mainland. Yeah. In Jersey, there's no jury, and I think the reason they're doing it is they're doing it as a pilot to see how it goes, because they want to abolish juries here too. So they're seeing what they can get away with without a jury, basically.
Because when you see that thing about abolishing the juries, they don't mention the terrorism offences in the blurb on the BBC and stuff like that. They talk about a waste of time. Some court cases don't need to go through juries. But you think that's kind of underneath that whole thing? Is it about the terror trials?
I think it is. More often than not, juries have acquitted people facing terror charges for supporting Palestine. And the majority of people whose trial has gone to jury trial have been found not guilty.
So they're like Lammy's dressing it up as something that it really isn't about, because he's actually talking about a terror trial.
Yeah. That was something else which came up in the Palestine Action case in the High Court. The argument for prescription given to the government, given to the Home Secretary by the Prescription Advisory Committee, actually stated in the argument, they said literally that Palestine Action are hiring good lawyers and people are not being convicted to the bar of criminal liability by juries. Therefore, we have to prescribe. They actually gave people being found not guilty as a reason to prescribe Palestine Action, extraordinarily. So they are trying to take away the power of juries to find people not guilty. And that definitely is happening. There's definitely very strongly related to Palestine.
And what do you think about Natalie Strecker's chances? Is it sounds bad for her if there's no jury?
It does sound bad, but the case is as weak as you can possibly imagine. It's as though they've deliberately taken as a test case one which is so weak that if they get away with it, they can get away with anything, if you see what I mean. I say, I'm definitely, undoubtedly, if statements of support for Palestinian resistance are criminal, I should definitely be in jail. On the standard being applied, there must be 2 million people in the UK who have said stronger things than she is being charged with. So it's very hard for me to believe, but it's so weak, the case, but it's very, very hard for me to believe there's going to be a conviction. But if they were a jury, I would have no doubt whatsoever, absolutely no doubt, she wouldn't be convicted. But who can tell?
Where's the next? Is it on Monday? Did it start again, or is it finished? What's the?
On Monday are closing speeches, and we should get the verdict by Monday evening, I think.
Oh wow! Well, I hope that works out. Now we're here actually for your party conference, but I needed to hear that update. It's very helpful. Thank you for that. You've been participating in some of your party meetings locally. I think. Did you say you went to a regional assembly as well?
I went to 2 of them, in fact.
Two.
Yeah.
What do you think about this first morning? Because before it, we interviewed people who thought it would be a bit like bungee jumping. They were a bit apprehensive about what was going to happen.
I mean, so far it's been a bit overstructured, and for my. But I mean, I'm a kind of anti-authority person. But it feels a little bit too much like the Labour Party conference. We had the first hour in which literally 2 people spoke in the first hour.
Right.
Then we have the chair telling us that these are the standing orders, even though no one has ever voted for them, and that anyone who doesn't like the standing orders can go away, and that if anyone breaks the standing orders, they will be removed from the hall by security guards, and that nobody may raise a point of order. And all that was said rather vehemently, as though the people in the hall were all potential enemies. It wasn't exactly welcoming. So I'm slightly sceptical about the feel of it. It feels like a somewhat authoritarian body, a bit like the Labour Party. I'm hoping that will tone down as the weekend goes on. I mean, everyone's hoping for peace and love and happiness to break out, and people to get on, and for Jeremy and Zara to be pictured standing on the stage, hugging each other and looking terrifically comfortable in each other's company, because that's what needs to happen. But we will. Are you
going to speak up there? We want you to go up there and speak and lead the way. Will you come up in the afternoon and speak?
Well, I don't know how you.
Where were you sitting? Are you sitting near the front?
I'm just wandering around because I get bored if I sit down. But listening to speeches isn't my thing. I don't even know how you get to speak. I have no idea. There aren't speakers forms you can submit. But no, I want to speak on the question of Irish unification. I understand there's going to be a talk. So I might speak to that if I can find a way to do it.
Good to hear you then. Is that today?
That's today this afternoon, and the constitutional amendments about.
Okay, well, we'll have to catch up with you then.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all of that, and I'll hopefully catch up with you later on, and we'll see how it goes. Now we've got Steve and Karen. Karen. I've got to introduce Karen here. Karen, we met in Egypt. It was wonderful. We were both dressed as tourists and pretending we were going on an expedition to get a fish meal in some town, or I was anyway. I don't know what you're doing. This conference, what do you make in Liverpool, in your own city? What do you make of it so far? Do you want to look at the camera? Is it?
Well, do you know what? This is for me, after resigning from the Labour Party a few years ago, my hope at the moment. And people are going, oh, well, the left are all fighting with each other and everything else. We do need to be unified. And I think a lot of people going on about, oh, well, they can't organise that. the mainstream right-wing media just are looking for a way in. So, I still have the hope there, because it is at the moment, it feels like my only hope of bringing the working class together. It's interesting listening to some of the debates this morning where they're saying, should we take the word working class out, or, or socialist out of it. Some interesting debates within that. And for me, I think we do need to be explicit of the word socialist being in and working class being in. And there's a few people, I've spoken to a variety of people this morning because I'm a steward and people want to come up and, talk to you about things. And there's quite a few people who I think, well, why are you here then?
But do you think people are overthinking it? There's a lot of fear about how do we beat the media and how do we get through all the abuse we're going to get. So if we don't say socialist, if we don't say working class, if we don't say anything, we might get in or something like that. It's a bit. That's the problem, isn't it? We're full of fear.
Yes.
There's a lot of fear. There's fear from the platform that someone's going to come up and do something really bad, and there's fear. It's just all over the place. We've got to have more faith, haven't we, that our message is strong.
And that by working class people there that thinking, if you put socialists in, it might put them off. Actually, it might make them going, at last. Let's go for that, rather than hiding behind it. You hide behind it, the right-wing media are going to come for it anyway. And working class, the argument keeps going. I was talking to a fella before from Wolves saying, putting that's not helpful, because if you've got people really good jobs and professionals, I said, well, I had a professional job. I've just took early retirement. I still class myself as working class, that I've had a professional job for years. And I said, on where your mum and dad worked? Yeah, my mum and dad both worked in factories. I didn't automatically go to uni until kind of later on. I'm still working class. People who've got like social workers and teachers going on strike, the junior doctors, they're still working. It's a different concept, but it's about the ordinary working people of the country that needs a party. So any the fellow went, he said, well, what about the millionaires? And I went, well, it's a party for them. He said, some millionaires are all right and they may want to support us. I said, it's about having our values, isn't it, really? So anyway, that's what the debates are on today. I think we do need to be explicit for people who and not hide behind anything, that it is a party for the working class, because I don't really see another party in the country at the moment that is, because obviously Labour isn't. Labour's been making cuts to benefits. They're not nationalising. They haven't got a big programme of social housing. They want to see, or not nationalising the water companies, just see all pollution poured into the seas, and big massive bonuses for all the bloody companies. That's not what people want, and ordinary working people.
So you think it's been quite a good conference, but a lot of people need to be a bit more confident about the message that we can put out there. And that includes socialism and saying that we're for working class. So what's your take, Steve? Do you agree on that? About being worried about what our message is, what words we use?
I think that I disagree regarding the terminology. Not because I disagree with the terminology, but I disagree that in today's world the terminology has been corrupted. And I mean, as one of the speakers said, everybody in the hall a socialist? Yes, everybody in the hall is a socialist. Does everybody in the hall believe they represent the population of this country? Nobody agreed. Because here we do not represent the people. We do not represent the wider public, who are politically uneducated, for want of a better word. Right. Words like socialism scares them, because the right-wing press for so many years, for generations, I'm nearly 70, all I've ever heard was socialism is the under the carpet, under the door entry point for communism. And that's in people's heads. The reality is that terminology and the way language evolves as well. Language is an evolving thing. My wife will tell you this. She's a great linguist. She will tell you this. Language evolves, and words take on different meanings at different times of humanity, if you like. And we've got to recognise, you're a socialist, I'm a socialist, you're a socialist. I learned something from you the other day about the term Quaker. It was actually a derogatory term. I didn't know that until you told me that, and so that was a word that it no longer has that derogatory term. A Quaker is a nice guy, a nice, a friendly society. It's another word that has been changed over the years, and I don't think we should label ourselves. We shouldn't box ourselves in. The rest of the wording is perfect. A broad social. Socialism is social, and the word social appears many, many times in the founding documents. I don't think we should be afraid of infiltration. We shouldn't be afraid of an alternative voice, because at the end of the day, the debate will win. If your argument is stronger, the debate will win. And like I said,
people off them. You're saying if you put socialism in, ordinary people out there are going to go, oh look, next thing we'll be down a communist road, being taken over by
yes,
Putin. Is that
I
what you
do. I do believe that. It doesn't devalue my socialist ideals. It doesn't devalue yours. But we've got to be realistic, because at the end of the day, we don't want this movement. We want it to grow. We want it to be inclusive. We don't want any barriers.
Can I just make a point? Because I actually think we use social media, we rely on it too much, because it's being manipulated by Elon Musk and these other people. They're in control of it. If we're actually going out on the doorstep, knocking on the door, and we say we're a socialist, we can then go through that problem of ignorance, can't we? But the thing is, if we don't get that conversation and we just rely on paragraphs of text that we send out to people who don't know what it means, then they will be scared. We need to have more engagement on the ground in order to educate, because what you said is about education. Education is the key, isn't it? I mean,
time is the key, Crispin. It's time. I mean, I've knocked on thousands of doors, and you mentioned the fact in your opening greeting, your opening gambit, on the doorstep, you've only got a finite amount of time. You mentioned you're a socialist. You're on to a uphill task.
You're on a loser.
You're on not necessarily on a loser, because
but you're in Liverpool. Liverpool's a much more radical.
Yeah. Also Liverpool.
Place,
Well, because I know that we're looking back in the 80s. So I think Broad Green constituency then was Conservative, and you had Terry Fields MP. Who took that seat, and it didn't just go from Conservative to Liberal. He was a socialist, and people come from up and down the country knocking on doors with us who believed with his values. So yes, we had a lot of people, but that turned it round, and we were arguing with people going, yeah, he's a socialist, and they might have went, oh well, I don't know about them, and then we argued about nationalisation, about proper wages, about working conditions and working people and social housing and NHS.
will you be able to talk, Audrey? We've just been talking about whether Karen was just talking about whether we should talk about socialism. That we're just having that discussion, and she was saying that Liverpool used to have a lot of Tory MPs.
We did, yeah.
But then it just became a more socialist because of the dialogue that was being used.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that an example, do you think, of why we can use socialism as a word?
Well,
in the country at large, or is it? Because I was saying Liverpool's radical, so you can say that here, but you can't say that in. Was it Cornwall?
Cornwall.
Yeah, well, all I'd say is, where do we ever have the chance to have discussions? Working class people, all the clubs have gone, the pubs are closed down, the local corner pubs. There's no branches anywhere. We used to meet regularly at ward branches, and of course they don't even exist in the Labour Party anymore, because there isn't enough people. And even when there was branches, because of the numbers that they were drawn in with Jeremy, the people who were in control, they made sure there was no come and speak on such and such an issue. Let's come and have a debate about democracy. Even there was no discussion. It was just basically bog you down with procedure and all the rest of it. And we don't have discussions anymore. We do in the Merseyside pensioners. We have a speaker every time we have a meeting, and the priority, first thing that comes on is a speaker. And that's why branches are the most important thing. Branches, branches, branches. What goes on is people organise in small groups. Doesn't matter whether there's only 8 of you. You can have a bloody good discussion on why are we going to have public transport? Are we going to have it coordinated? How will that work? How do we do it? Do we give any of the bus companies compensation? Or, how do we pay for it? Or do we just take over like water? We should just take over. All these things aren't happening.
But do you think that we have to be careful about the language we use when we try and win over support from people who don't know much about politics? Working class was another thing, and saying socialist. What's your view on that?
I think we've got to talk about socialism and what socialism means, because, it gets wrapped up with all sorts of dishonesty. I mean, people talk about Tony Blair as if he was ever on the left, as if he was ever a socialist. Keir Starmer...
They're saying that now. Keir Starmer's socialist policies and that, aren't they?
Well, they do it to confuse working class people. Do you know, working class people aren't soft. They really are. Nobody has to patronise working class people. They know how to organise, because they organise their lives, the difficult lives that they live, the lives that are packed with trying to survive and sometimes doing 2 jobs. How do they get time to go to a trade union branch and all the rest of it? Those things used to happen in the workplace, Trade union branches used to have meetings, in the workplace, in work's time quite often. So things have changed drastically to shut up and to close the mouths of all the ordinary working class people. And we have to have confidence as a party that the first thing should be, and should have been, is branches. And all around the country it's happening already. We don't have to talk about it in an abstract way. They're springing up, all around the country, branches. Doesn't care who approves it, just branches. Doesn't matter what organisations are involved. It's the will of the leading elements of the most class-conscious workers. And if they happen to have been attracted to this group or that group, good on them. They've probably been fighting for socialism all their lives. You may have disagreements. Do you know what? Can I say this one thing? I think the press, everybody, the left are always fighting, they're always arguing. Do you know what? That's our strength. We have to look at that, because you know what? The more we do of that, the more we get it right. We should welcome everybody, not Tories, not Faragists, we should welcome everyone into the party.
That's what Lucy Williams was saying at the beginning when she said that it's better that we have these arguments than like the people in Labour who don't agree but make out they do, and they never discuss it, and everyone's kind of quietly nodding along. I mean, that was one of the best things that was said, that we should have these arguments.
Yeah, Lucy, Lucy's, everyone I speak to, Lucy's was the best speech today. And, she is only a young woman struggling herself with her own family and work and all the rest of it, and being a councillor. She's amazing. This is people like her, do take a lead, because they're very clear. They have to be clear. They can't cope unless they think through what's the situation is for them, what the situation is for working class people. And she's dead right. Really, discussion is the only way forward. You do need to approach people who are at different stages of political awareness, put it that way. But most workers are trying, if you talk about trying to keep a roof over your head, the prices of food, what it's like in work. The unions used to have meetings where we could discuss like that, and it's not happening. So this is why it's so important for this party now, if it's going to survive and be healthy, it's got to be about not shutting down any debate. It's got about to be welcoming people on the left into this party. It's got to be a socialist party.
Are you sitting in the afternoon? Are you going to speak? Are we going to see Audrey on the podium?
They probably won't choose me, because I might mention Palestine Action, because we know the leading edge of the battle now against genocide and freedom of speech and freedom of protest is Palestine Action. Deprescribing Palestine Action. I mean, they might close me down. they might close the conference down. But I suppose if I got an opportunity to speak, of course I'd speak.
So you could close the whole conference down on your own. That'd be some claim to fame, wouldn't it?
Well, it wouldn't be me though, would it? It would be the authoritarianism of this country now. And if that's what it exposes, that's what it exposes. We need to debate in the branches, where small groups of working class people, that's what's important. That's what's important. Yeah. This conference has got to go ahead so that we can establish, all these standing orders and all the things, the 4 documents. But we've got to make the decisions that everyone is welcome in the party. Everyone who's on the left should be welcome to this party, and debate, branches.
Yeah, be afraid of nothing, because that is what the Starmer government is actually afraid. This is why they shut down debate. This is why they're corrupting the judicial process regarding the Palestine Action protesters. It's fear. It's fear. It's about control. And I saw it in the old Labour Party. I was an active member of the old Labour Party, and they are scared of dissenting voices. Yeah. They're scared of the embarrassment. They're scared of their own shadows, really.
So look, I don't know what the time is now. Let me just have a look at my phone. All right, so we're pretty much got no. But I'd like to know, Anne, what was your take on the morning of the first Your Party national conference?
I have to say, it was a great turnout. It was 4,000 people there.
Really?
Yeah, there's 4,000 people here. Underwhelming, I have to say. I thought the discussion, the political discussion, I didn't think there was an awful lot there, and that's what most of the morning should have been dedicated to. There was a speaker that was outstanding for me and did the politics of the day, and that was Lucy Williams. She absolutely spoke from the heart.
Very good start,
can I just say, she covered so much, and I just thought she spoke for all of us. And she said, I'm a working class woman, I'm a nurse, I'm from this city, and I'm a socialist, and that's what it's about for me. So I am excited to be in a working class socialist party, and I hope it does stay as a working class socialist party. We can't be anything but that.
We had a disagreement of that, but anyway,
really?
About how we can get people's attention and how we might put people off.
Socialism has been a dirty word, but we've got to say, hang on a minute, let's talk about it, let's talk about the ideas, because all we've had, I'm 68 years old, I joined the Labour Party when I was 18, that's 50 years ago. There's not that much change. So I'll give you how bad it is at the moment. I've got a really good friend of ours who is now on his 4th day in hospital after I took him in a couple of days ago. He was seriously ill. He is still on a trolley on a corridor outside a ward in this city. It's absolutely disgraceful.
4 days?
4 days. He went in on Wednesday and he is still on a trolley on a corridor waiting for a bed on a ward. That is our secretary. And all I can say to you is, with every bone in my body, I'll keep on fighting for the NHS, and I'll keep on fighting for socialism, because nobody else created the NHS but working people. It came from working people. That's where it came from. It didn't come from the Tories, it didn't come from the rich and the billionaires in society who are now hiving it off. And we've seen it all over. It can't go on. I fear for my grandchildren's future. I should be off now enjoying my retirement, but I can't, because I feel compelled to be here, because we're here to make a change. And for me, it's about, I'm proud to be working class, from working class stock. I'm proud to be a nurse in this city. But people have got to stand up, and we've got to say to people, austerity is a choice. Austerity is a choice, and they've made it that austerity has got to be a choice for the working classes. It doesn't have to be. I'm not being funny. I want, as Zara said a couple of weeks ago, we don't want a few crumbs off the table. We want the bloody lot. We want the lot. You look at people, and I look at people now that I work with. I look at nurses that they're on the bones of their arse, and that's the reality. Some of them are going to food banks because they can't afford, and that's working shifts. That's wrong. That's really wrong in this city. And you've only got to go around this city. You still see relics from the Second World War. We still see houses that have been bombed. You still see areas that are just desolate. It's absolutely.
I know, you see the waste ground quite often.
Waste ground,
yeah.
Absolutely. So for me, as old as I am, you've just got to keep fighting. And for me, I've got to keep fighting for socialism because that's what I believe in. And I don't think we should water it down to appeal to the masses. Who are we going to let in? I heard one of the delegates say before, we could have some common ground with Nigel Farage. I had my head in my hands and I was thinking, what common ground would we possibly have with one of the biggest fascists going?
And we'd trust him, wouldn't we, if he said, I agree with you.
So if you talk about a broad alliance, I will not be in this party because that's not the sort of alliance I want. But when you're making it too broad, and that's what happened last time, Jeremy got stabbed in the back, was you made it so broad. But then on the other hand, they're expelling good socialists before the party's even been created. Last night we heard about people who've been fighting for your party, people who've been in the movement for a long time, and they've all had letters to say, you're not welcome at the conference. It's absolutely outrageous. I thought we were here about democracy.
But you're that sort of being in two parties, you don't think that's an issue then?
Can I just say, well, one of the discussions they're going to have is, would we support independent candidates if we thought that they were going to run against your party? So I think bring those people in, let's have that discussion. We need to have them. You can't start expelling people before you've even had a discussion. I mean, I'm not being funny. I thought the days of the witch hunt was over. So I'm enthused the fact there's 4,000 people here. I feel constrained because I do feel it's very managed. This founding conference is managed.
It is.
To the point of, even when somebody wanted to raise a point on a standing order, they were escorted out of the.
So are you going to maybe speak in the afternoon, or something?
I tried this morning to get in and I never got in, so I will do.
Are you down at the front, or?
I'm about five behind.
Oh, right,
five.
So not far.
Yeah, but to me, if it's something I'm passionate about, I will. But a lot of it seems to be the Constitution, the standing orders. I'm here for a political debate, and I know people have said, well, we'll get onto that. But that's what people want when they're here. We want it. Yeah. We want the politics of it all, so...
I think we know the politics.
What
we have to do, we have to get the structure. We have to get the structure to give... Because we're trying to build a Your Party group down in my town, St Austell. We want to elect a structure so we can fundraise, so we can campaign, so we can choose candidates. We haven't got a structure yet.
Well,
this conference, post-conference, we'll have that structure.
We already did that. Where I live in Crosby, 5 of us a month ago devised a leaflet, and we had on it, socialists, are you interested in socialism? Are you fed up with previous governments, a Labour government? We had 40 people turn up. 40 people that we've never come across before, and that was on the basis of we just went out and did some leafleting. And I said, come on, let's just test the water, see if there's an appetite for socialism. 40 people turned up just like that on a horrible, cold, rainy night. So if that's what we can do with only a very small amount of work, think what we can do when we all get together.
All the data and stuff, the data.
I'm excited for that, but for me, this should be about, this is where the branches are, and we've got to get those things right, and we can't be stifling debate. I know you're saying we've got all the policies right. No, we haven't, because there was one part, I saw a little bit today about, MPs should be on workers' wages. That's now been taken out by the Standing Orders Committee. Well, that's really, really important to me, because I don't want them to see it as a gravy train, and I'd like to see mandatory reselection. And do you know what? I'd like to see it on a yearly basis, and I'll tell you why. Everyone's going, oh, you can't have it on a yearly basis. Well, as a nurse, I used to have yearly appraisals.
Yes.
And I'd have my competencies checked every year, the same as doctors. Well, why can't we do the same for our elected and representatives? Because, to be honest, that's what you're asking. We're going to do an appraisal of your job, and if you're good enough, you can stay in it. And that will actually sort out the people who are just looking upon it as a career. And do you know what really hit... Sorry, I'm sort of jumping in here. I watched Newsnight in the week, and Clive Lewis, he said, I think he was asked by Victoria Derbyshire, would you give up your seat for Andy Burnham? Oh, I'm not really sure, wishy-washy. And then he said, well, yes, I would. For the movement, I would give it up. And they said, well, why are you sort of undecided? And he said, well, I'd have to talk to people. Who would you talk to? I'd have to discuss it with my wife. It wasn't your wife that put you in that position. It was your constituency Labour Party. That's the person that you should be speaking to. Because, and that to me just absolutely said, you're in it because you think it's a career. You're not there to represent working people. So we've got to have mandatory reselection. And if you're worried about it on a yearly basis,
you're going to be on your game.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we've gone right over the...
Sorry.
It's all right. No, thank you, Anne, and thank you, Steve. So I'm not good at names, but it's good that you've got his lanyards on because I'm useless.
I spoke too fast.
Hold on, we've got. We might have another. Oh no, he's gone. All right, hold on. No, there's someone interviewing him now. Hold on. I think we might have one. That's a Ayub Khan. Yeah. But we're on the stream now.
Sorry for shouting coming in. So
that's all right.
You did say to me 1:20, and then you bumped me off for Karen, and then you bumped me off for Audrey.
No, yeah, but it's.
I know what I said. I'm not being funny. It's not many people bump me off.
No, well, I wouldn't. Yeah. Right. Okay. Look, Carlos has persuaded Ayub Khan to come and speak. How are you doing, Ayub? All right. Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm good. So were you watching the whole morning session, or?
Yes, I was there in the morning. The energy here is amazing, and I think that when we look at the packed hall of people that have attended from all parts of this country, there is a real vacuum which needs to be filled, and I'm confident that this new movement is going to be able to deliver what we all want to see, a fairer society, and so I'm just grateful that I'm part of this new movement.
Listening to people, I mean, before it started, I asked people what they were thinking would happen, and people saying they thought it would be like going bungee jumping, and they hadn't been bungee jumping before. I was fearful it would be difficult with lots of all the press before, the tension that was before. It wasn't as bad as I anticipated. There was some disruption. It's kind of inevitable, I suppose. What's your take on the level of kind of animosity or disruption or division and all that kind of thing at the moment?
It's expected. We are in uncharted waters. This is a massive movement in a very short time period, and there's naturally going to be differences of opinion, and people want to be able to express them. And I think even within chaos there is order, and so we're seeing a degree of order. And as I say, if this is truly going to be a grassroots movement, we must listen to people on the ground and advocate on behalf of them.
Are you doing a speech today?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Tomorrow afternoon, right.
I haven't drafted it yet, so I don't know what I'm going to be saying.
Okay, well, I'm not. What do you think? What do you think the media's going to do with this? I mean, they love a bun fight, don't they? We can't actually sanitise ourselves to the point that the media won't have a go at us. They'll find anything, won't they? So, in a way, we shouldn't really be fearful. Do you think there's too much fear about what the media could say, and we should just get on and be full of faith that what we're doing is right?
I think I've long passed that. When you look at, for example, how the media has been dealing with the Maccabi Tel Aviv hooligans, and the position that the chief constable had on it, along with the safety advisory group, and how the media has completely weaponized, or at least promoted, those parliamentarians that weaponized this about religion, conflated matters. So I've been hardened by the sort of narratives that we hear on mainstream media and even social media. I think as long as we get our message across, this is a new movement. It's about grassroots communities. It's about listening to the majority, not the minority dictating to the majority. As long as we get that across, and as long as people realize that this is the only political movement that is talking about redistributing that wealth to ensure that the most wealthy pay their fair share, to look after the most vulnerable in our society, I think stories like that and policies like that are going to win over the hearts and minds of so many British people.
Yeah, I mean, we can't win the media, but if they want to talk about this party, then that's good. Even if it's negative, some people might actually find out what it's about through the negative, and they'll just read the truth.
Yeah, well, I think everybody knows what your party is. Obviously, there's going to be a decision in relation to name branding, but
Right, what's your one?
Well, I personally think that given that your party is out there, it's something that everybody is familiar with. I think I would support your party.
I think that's going to win that one. Well, thank you very much for your time. Cheers. Right, so look, we've come right to the end. Look, people have they're all going in now. I'm guessing that the actual session in the afternoon will be starting very soon. We'll have to talk at 5ish after. Okay.
We don't even have to do it.
So we've got.
I'm sure you've got plenty.
No. We're just. Is it starting in a minute? Are you chairing this one?
No, it's the next one.
Okay. All right. Well. Yes.
Do you know Zara's left?
Left what?
She's left. She'd come here to the conference, and they wouldn't let 3 of her staff in. So she's left.
Is she going to speak there?
No, she's speaking tomorrow. But she said if they're not allowed in, neither am I. Why aren't they allowed in?
Are you still on?
No.
Are we still on?
Don't be doing that.
Oh, right. Well,
Okay.
there's a bit of drama going on. We'll talk about that
drama,
after. We'll
yeah.
talk about that at the end, yeah? So catch up with you. Catch up with you later.
And I'll murder you. You know, I'll stalk you.
All right. Look, there's a lot of drama going on. People are going back to sit down, and I haven't eaten anything yet. I've had a banana.
Here's something.
What's that?
Somebody was giving them out, so you can
A biscuit?
Yeah,
Is that all I need?
now that'll carry you through,
All
right?
right.
You
All
want to
right.
carry on. Keep going.
Cheers. Two chocolate brownies. That'll do me. So yeah. All right. Shall we end this now, Carlos, or are we going to just carry on? I don't mind. Is it? It's not finishing. It's not letting me finish. These biscuits. This is an advert. Border chocolate